Hello and welcome back to Hooligan's Pitch without Premier League.
Woo! For the first time ever.
We're in postseason now. This is going to it's just wild.
I don't know whether or not to be bored or just see what happens.
It's pure vibes. We just ride the wave now.
Yeah. I got to say, Chad, Premier League, I was going this way, and then we're feeling a little blue today. So we're going this way. However, there's water inside of this, so I'm going to chug it really fast and then pour my delicious Low Water Bridge IPA.
Oh, interesting.
By Piney River, not to get confused with Pliny. So
close.
That's what I'm having today. How about yourself?
Okay. Well, I was just telling you before we started recording that I went wine tasting a little bit today. This is not from where we tasted. This is just a Franzia box wine.
Just feeling it.
Level has come down, but might as well stick with the wine today. So nice little, I think it's like a, I don't know, red blend or something.
Is it bubbling? Is it sparkly?
No, it's not sparkling, but it's like a pinky color. So I don't know. It's some sweet wine thing. I don't know.
Well, hey, wine is wine. Though. So cheers to that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pound this really quick. Stay hydrated.
That's it.
And let's talk some footy. All right.
Yeah.
We last left off when, I guess, last Monday around then, and we had the Manchester Derby coming up. Did you watch it?
I got to watch the first half, yeah.
Okay, great, because I watched the back half.
Nice.
All the action was in the first half, really the first couple minutes. And let's just start with what the hell was Man United doing when, the fifth touch of the game, and then all of a sudden there's a goal.
Like, I want to give, De Gea benefit of the doubt for this goal because, it is immediate. You're probably not expecting anyone to really take a shot from there so quickly. But at the same time, it is a final. You got to be up, ready to go. You don't know what's going to happen. It's not a good look to start the match, a couple minutes in and you're already down.
I mean, it was pretty funny. When I woke up and saw the scoreline, I was like, oh my God, I was like, already? And then, Man City kind of cruised. It seemed like that game, but it seemed like Man United was playing at their best they possibly could, and Man City was playing average, and they still couldn't even get up to their level. So that's a bit concerning just going into next year for Man United. I don't know about other teams, but definitely for Man United. My favorite part was going back and watching some of the Man United fans who do live in-game reactions, and they have their streams up. There's some good ones out there, Chad, where they're like, this is our day, we got it. And then you see the 15 seconds, they're like, oh, come on. So good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I saw some comments saying it looked like City, wasn't playing that well, and I just think they were in cruise control. They kind of knew
they were never worried.
They had it. If they really needed to turn it on, they could have. Holland wasn't overly involved, but he was still causing such an issue for those defenders that he was, taking so much focus onto him, and Gundogan got free 2 times.
Ridiculous.
And, it almost had the Hattie. I think it was called offsides or something.
He was very offside. He was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was kind of unmarked too, and he was kind of floating, and it was just so easy for him to put it back.
It was not a good display from United. It felt like the United we've mostly seen all season, except for that brief period where Rashford was carrying the team. This is kind of how they had been playing. They won their games this way, which fair enough, it worked, but certainly not enough to take down City in a final.
Yeah. Grealish, for me, is the one who kind of surprised me on how confident he's playing on the ball. I kind of forgot about him in the last year, and just because the depth there was so wild, and now he's playing virtually every game and starting and playing almost the distance. But he's been really, really good for them, just bringing the ball in the box and causing problems, causing quick little flick offs, and his dribbling is just spectacular. So yeah, City is still a worry for me.
Mhm.
But with that game, that marked the official end of our pool.
Official, yes.
Officially done, which is fantastic. Ryan Richardson coming away with the win. We brought in all these new people, and they straight up kicked our
Just
ass.
they took over.
Jeez, Cam messaged me when I tagged everyone in the Instagram post. He goes, "Oh man, we got to do better next year." I thought we were doing just fine.
Clearly not.
So yeah, next year should be maybe get a couple more people in here, make it a little more interesting, change up a couple rules.
Yeah.
I think we can make it pretty good and competitive again. It just makes you wonder if Holland didn't do what he did and he was just normal.
Yeah.
How close the standings would have been. But now, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we've talked about it before, but he just like broke the fantasy league because
Broke it.
if you didn't have him, which I didn't that first half, like there was just no chance of catching up because he gave such a big lead from the get go of the season. Like there's no period of him like warming up to Premier League or figuring out how to play with City. It's just like straight away we're like, all right, doing Hatties every week, it's fine.
We all went, what the hell is this?
Oh,
But props to Waffle and Sammy for not having Holland for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
So they definitely made some strides up to the top. My team started sucking at the worst time possible. Questionable moves here and there, but yeah, that was rough. I look back, if I would have just kept Solid, I probably would have kept third.
Yeah. I was kind of looking at mine too. Like started with Salah. I probably should have kept him, but Liverpool was just on such a tame like nothing run where like they weren't really scoring, they weren't getting too much from the games, whether it's dribbles or anything, and then they finally figured it out, started to turn it on, but it's too late for me.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I should have known they were going to pick it. Why didn't I believe, Chad? Why didn't I believe? What's wrong with me?
I mean, this from the seasons past to this season, that's a big change in how Liverpool is playing, so I get it, but
well then let's segue to their new signing, a possible midfielder who comes in and could possibly be taken. I think people will look at him as an option since so many picked him for Brighton. Alexis McAllister, our Argentinian Irishman, coming in strong. I'm pumped. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think he's a good pickup. I mean, we've talked all season about how Liverpool's midfield is old and slow, and they need some help. And he's certainly a good first piece to fixing that.
Absolutely.
That midfield.
And no one, and Man United didn't get him, and we did. And I'm just like, I feel like that hasn't happened to us in so long, where we haven't gotten a player where we really wanted, and we pay the price tag. But apparently it keeps getting lower and lower, and no one officially knows what it is yet. So I'm really curious how low we're actually getting. The memes that are coming out for that are quite funny too. But that's exciting. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah. I mean, he's been great for Brighton. Key part of the World Cup win. It's a good player in there. And he's 24, 25?
24. And he played three positions. And he hasn't missed a game from injury in forever.
Yeah. Liverpool will have him for a while, get to maybe not build around him, but at least be able to incorporate him in the build. And I think that's a good start to your summer transfers for sure.
So has Arsenal done anything yet?
Nothing yet. Still a lot of talk of Declan Rice being the main target.
Right.
From what I've seen, it looks promising that it'll happen, but you never know. I saw that Bayern was floating around trying to entice him, which is a worry, but I don't know if he's looking to leave England or what, but that's the main one I've seen thrown around. Caicedo's name is still in there, but it seems like Rice is the priority. Gundogan is a name that's been out there since he's on a free now. But I don't know. I think City offered him an extension, and I think Barcelona, I think,
Oof. Hmm.
offered him a contract too. So he's gonna have offers. Just come down to if he wants to like reconnect with Arteta or roll with City again, or if Messi ends up back at Barcelona, maybe just go play with Messi for a year or two.
Fuck.
So yeah, I don't know. It's been quiet, but it looks like things are slowly happening in the background at least. So it shouldn't be this, wait until the end of the window to get things done. I think they're going to try and make their moves pretty quickly.
Okay. Is there anyone else that's leaving that we should know about?
Um, Nothing like official. I mean, Shaka's the
Agree.
only official one.
Right.
Tierney's expected to leave, just because Arteta doesn't really play with like a left back that way. I think Balogun is on loan or was on loan, but it sounds like he wants to leave, which is probably going to happen.
Okay.
Because they just signed Eddie Nketiah to a new contract like a year ago or something. So I think they'll probably stick with him and just get whatever money they can for Balogun. But beyond that, like nothing for sure of anyone else leaving. I mean, there's talk of like Reece Nelson, just because. I mean, he's playing behind Bukayo Saka, so he's not getting, he's
Right.
not starting over him. So, if he wants more minutes, then he's probably gonna have to leave. But no, I don't think it'll be like a big turnover summer. I think it's just gonna try to find those like key missing pieces to either like deepen the bench strength or slot in that first team and try and make that push again for title challenge at least.
Now, I did see a rumor for Saliba from PSG. Do you have any notes on that? Is it serious? Do you think he would do it?
I think. I mean, he's still so young. I think because this year went so well for him, he will sign a new contract. But I think he's also using that this year went so well for him, and once he was out of the team, Arsenal fell apart a little bit. So it's he kind of has that in his negotiation of
Right.
like, I was this key player, I'll sign a new contract, but he's probably looking for quite a good pay increase there. I think Arsenal will probably try and do it. Like, I don't know that you just take one good season from this kid and then try and ship him out.
Yep.
Especially because he's just worked so well with Gabriel in the back. And I don't know. I could see him going to a PSG or like a Madrid, but I'm hoping sign another contract here, get a few more years out of him, and then he'll make the jump to your top tier mega teams.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty good trajectory, and it's not uncommon for players to do it that way either, considering his age. But, I mean, he's 21, 22. He could have a very bright and long career at Arsenal if he just replicates, exactly what he did last season.
I mean, the PSG is more like, a French-born player. Like,
Yeah.
PSG's this huge name. I get it's a poll, but like, Messi's leaving, Verratti's leaving. It's just kind of been in turbulence for the past however many years. Like, I don't know that you want to necessarily go into that right now. Like, you maybe want to let it kind of stabilize out and see how things shake out over there. But I don't know, if they throw a lot of money at you, maybe you just take it.
Well, segue, Karim Benzema is leaving Real Madrid for most likely a lot of money.
He saw that Ronaldo money. He said, yes, please.
Okay, so here's my thought process behind the Saudi league. Is it becoming like the new MLS?
Kinda, like, at least taking that like retiree league, but like taking the stars and doing it. Where like MLS was like,
It's like
you got your,
B-listers.
yeah, like you had your moments where you had your Stevie G go over there, Chicharito, your boy Zlatan was over there for a little bit. What Schweinsteiger was in there. Like they had some decent names.
Rooney.
Shaqiri. I mean, come on.
Oh gosh.
So I think that the MLS is kind of getting away from that, just because I think the teams realize like throwing all this money into one player isn't really a wise tactic for the most part, unless it is like a Messi or Ronaldo who can carry you a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think that's better for MLS? I personally, I do.
Yeah.
I think it's way better. We don't seem as of a joke to the rest of the world, I think, right now. And I think the Saudi league is just kind of moving in that way because of the heaps of money they're throwing at players. Now, Benzema could still play with Real Madrid and hang. Maybe Ronaldo could probably hang in another league too. I mean, he did score, a handful of goals his first season back with Man United. But it's definitely a retirement. Like those guys are going to sail into the sunset over there, and we'll never probably see them in a top 5 league again. Unlike Zlatan, who went to MLS and came back to Serie A and still was scoring goals, but that's we'll never see anything like that. I think ever again. I think
I think the trajectory is like play whatever leagues you're gonna play in for your career, and as you come to those like twilight years of your career, if you got the offer from Saudi, it's probably a good chunk of change.
Right.
You take it. You're not going to get anything close to that with any other contract anywhere else. You do a year, 2, maybe 3 there, bring in the big bucks, and then if you want to do like a final year in your home country or whatever league, then you can probably still do that. And they already make so much money, but nice to have a little bit more padding at the end of your career when you're like kind of entering this uncertainty of where money is coming in from now.
So, okay, now I got one more little like tidbit on this is we saw this from another country, China, where they'd throw heaps of money at players who were kind of maybe not near retirement, but around there. And then the China league just died out. Like, do you know any player in your mind that's playing in China right now?
I think Iniesta still plays.
He's in Japan. Oh, he's in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think he plays for Kobe.
That's right. Yeah.
But China, we saw Eto go there. We saw Hulk go there. Like Oscar. There were a couple familiar players that went there, never to be seen again. But that they're like done. No one goes to China anymore. And I'm wondering if the same thing will kind of happen with Saudi Arabia.
I think probably like
it's a fad.
I mean, I don't know. Like, there's just so much money in those, in that region, right? Like, so much oil money and just like money they just throw around. Like, look at Dubai and all the things they build up in Dubai just to make it looks extravagant because they can make it look that way, right? So this one might sustain a little bit longer just because there's always going to be that shiny new toy that they can bring in. I don't know. I think it'll come down to like if players just want to keep playing for the last few years, or if they see the dollar signs and just like that's a good severance package there to to take right at the end of your career.
The contract that's rumored to Benzema is 2 years, 100 million.
I mean, you'd be stupid to pass that up, right? Like,
easy
100 mil for 2 years, like
of like maybe 40% of what you saw last year.
Yeah, so I get it, but it would be nice to, I don't know, after those 2 years, maybe go finish out in France or something for Benzema, or not a big team necessarily, but just so you can end in front of the crowd that like really loves you and knows you, and not that the Saudi fans wouldn't do the same for him, but it's not your home country. You don't have that connection through the national team and everything that he's done. So
it's a strange one. I mean, now that they got 2, I'm like, who's going to be the third one to go over there? I don't think Busquets has gone over there, right? Because I know he's retiring with Barcelona, but I didn't hear anything about his Saudi arrival. And I feel like he's not the player who would kind of do that. He's not flashy. Like I feel like they're
Yeah.
going to go after all the goal scorers.
Yeah, I didn't hear where he was going, or if he's going anywhere, or just is done. But I mean, yeah, they're certainly trying to get Messi out there still, which I don't know. I think if the Barcelona door is open, Messi takes it and will end his career there, which seems most fitting. But
Right.
again, if Benzema's getting 100 mil for 2 years, Messi's for sure
Oh.
getting closer to that Ronaldo number of like 300 mil. So
I can't imagine.
yeah.
It'll be something ridiculous. Well, we got. Let's talk Europa final. Did you watch it?
Uh, I didn't really watch most of it, but I watched, I think, the most important part, which was the extra time.
Oh yeah,
and the penalties.
I mean, the game itself was awesome.
It just became a mess towards the end there, honestly. But
I don't. It's so crazy how. I don't know. We watch the Premier League and like we see something get out of hand and we're like, oh no, and then we see a game like that and you're just like, what in the hell? Like, how are they not controlling this? And then, Mourinho, I just wish there was a camera on him the entire game.
Oh,
that's almost
yeah,
more entertaining than just watching the game itself. At one point, he was in the other coach's box, like talking to his players, and I just the other coach is like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, Mourinho's always got the antics, especially in a final. It's as much as he wants his players to do well. I think he likes to take some of that pressure off of the team and like do a little bit something crazy on the sidelines to kind of get the focus over there. And,
yeah, he's a genius.
He's good at it.
Like no one else could get away with that. I feel like it's just Mourinho. But it's like no, he had to earn that, and then like just keep doing it and make you think it was normal.
Yeah,
I was talking to our old soccer coach at the college, and he was we were talking coaches and stuff, and he brought up Mourinho. This was a long time ago, and he was like, I'd do something similar where if I'm on a yellow because I've been yelling at the ref, I'll like bend down and tie my shoe and tell my assistant to like go yell at them so I could like distract one of their players and like have something else happen where I could yell at someone else and the head ref doesn't see it. So he's like, we're simultaneously yelling, but he's getting the attention of the head ref, and like Mourinho does the same. He like tells his other coach to go yell at that guy so he can go yell at that guy and not get noticed. It's so wild. The whole game he was just running around. And then the first goal that was scored by Dybala, I don't know if you saw Mourinho's reaction, but he was just like, calm down, like, and just went and sat down, and like deep down I know he's like freaking out.
He wanted to run that the whole length of the pitch, Yeah, I mean, yeah, like from the moment that I came in, it was already at the point where it's just like crazy tackles, people going down hurt, just no real flow to the game. So it was a little bit like frustrating of a watch in that sense that, it wasn't going to be this big grandstand ending. But I mean, it's Sevilla with the Europa League, like voodoo that they got, and the unmovable force that is a Mourinho team. Like
Mourinho's first loss in a European final. And Sevilla going 7 for 7 in Europa finals. So, and Chad, they did not have a good season in La Liga, and now they're in Champions League, and they'll probably be in Europa next year.
It doesn't make any sense. Like they just got it. Europa is like designed for Sevilla, and they do it. I don't know. They put it all in there and get the win.
It's not even the same players. It's not even the same coaches. It's just like they've built it in themselves. Where it's like, if we're in Europa, we have to win it. Like we're expected, no matter where we are. Dead last in our league, we're expected to win it, and they find a way. It's quite impressive at this rate. Where you just go in knowing like they could fucking win this thing.
Yeah, Mourinho subbed out all his normal penalty takers for whatever reason. I guess to really park the bus, but that in turn led him to only having his defenders shoot the PKs. which is a really weird tactic. Which I don't know if he meant to do that or just kind of like stumbled upon that towards the end. It was like, uh-oh.
I think it was more of that.
So it almost worked. Like there were definitely some good penalties that they took, but just can't beat the Sevilla voodoo like that. It's just not going to work.
I mean, his players were kind of dying near the end, so it made me think if maybe Sevilla was a little bit more fit for this rather than Roma. I mean, Roma was a lot bigger, kind of all over the place. They were just bigger than Sevilla, but Sevilla just got super scrappy. I mean, elbows were being thrown. They probably should have got a red card, maybe two, if we're being honest. But I don't know. It was Sevilla's night. I kind of had a feeling. Roma's never done anything too spectacular, but still impressed to see them there. And there's a lot of Italians right now in the finals. We have West Ham and Fiorentina. Yeah, I believe it's Fiorentina.
Okay.
I think that's on Thursday.
Italian teams in all the European finals,
which is wild.
A great advertisement for Serie A, and I guess even for La Liga. Their overall record in European finals is like 17 out of 19 past European finals Spanish team has won that they're in. Like, Premier League sits up here as like wants to be the best and say they're the best, but then come Europe, it seems to be every other league is doing better.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe this year was kind of a anomaly because Chelsea didn't play that great in Champions League because they had a terrible season, and Liverpool kind of same boat too. But in past years, we've had Chelsea as a winner, Liverpool as a winner. I guess that's kind of it. We did have an all-English final. I think England's been okay. When's the last time Bayern has been in the final despite winning? I guess a couple of years ago they played PSG and they've won 11 in a row. Barcelona. When's the last time they were in it?
It's been a while.
Oh man, I can't even tell you.
Madrid's definitely been the the Spanish team in Europe other than Sevilla, but I don't know. Great to see 3 Italian teams there. Just I like to mix it up more than having an all English final or even an all Spanish final and stuff. Like, I like to see that competition between teams that don't normally play each other.
For sure. So let's jump to Inter and City. What do you think this does for Inter if they win?
I don't keep up too much with Serie A, but I think right now there is kind of this big a kind of vacancy of like top teams in Serie A, right? Because Juventus is kind of going through the weird legal battle and getting docked points and hasn't really played all that well over the past couple years. Milan has looked decent over past years. Inter as well, but now Napoli just won the title this year, and I think the points gap between them and second was like 12 points or something like
16.
that. Like, oh yeah. So so I think it's kind of in this, I guess, cool spot to watch from a fan point of view, where like you are now kind of fighting to be the big team in Serie A. It's not like Juventus has that locked down anymore. There's this kind of opening, and if Inter wins or at least puts in a good performance, I think that makes them a pretty enticing option for players. They had a decent Serie A season. Champions League finals, win or lose is nothing to scoff at, and I don't know. I'd like to see them win, but it's a big hill to climb.
They had 12 losses this season. They went 23, 3 and 12. So 12 losses and only 3 draws is kind of strange to
They
be in the
kind
top
of
3 spot.
they almost had like the Newcastle issue, where it's like
Kind of, yeah.
they like where Newcastle was like win or draw. Inter was just like win or lose. There's no
Yeah.
drawing. Like,
And luckily we won a lot of games to keep
mhm.
ourselves up there. It's interesting to look at the whole match history, and there's like not a whole lot of colors and chunks. Like we'd win a lot, we'd lose one, win a lot, lose a couple here, and like so it was an interesting balance. I think we're gonna sell maybe a little too much this off season if we win it, if we win Champions League. Um, with the change of ownership, kind of like not a big direction. We just got a sponsor on our kits for not having one after the last year. I think the squad is in a good spot to where if people want to buy these players for such high prices, the Martinez, the Barellas, Onana as their keeper, who's played really, really great this past season despite some of his off-field issues. I think if they win, people are going to come running for those players. If they lose, I think they'll run it back maybe one more time. I don't know if they'll sell off everyone because they just didn't reach that peak that they think they could have gotten in with the Champions League qualification. I don't see why they couldn't do it again.
Yeah.
But this is pressure's all on City right now.
Yeah.
No pressure on them if they lose this because it's like okay. But
Yeah. I mean, City, you got not only the treble winners pressure, but also like everyone knows this is the trophy that Pep and City have wanted all along. Like, throw the Premier League trophies to the side. This is the one they've had their eyes on. So I don't know. It could be one of those where they play just a little bit off because of the pressure. Like, this is a new pressure for them. Yeah, it's you have some experience in there, but at the same time, you have Holland, who is young and might want to try and take on a lot of the responsibility to like get City this win, which he's perfectly capable of doing it and could very well run through Inter, but it could also swing the other way of just like he tries too hard and is missing the easy shots, or just like doesn't make the correct run, or doesn't have that link up with Kevin De Bruyne that he normally has. So I don't know. I mean, Pep will for sure have them dialed in as much as he can. I don't know. I feel like if Inter can kind of poke at their back line, they sometimes make some weird challenges. You've seen Ederson come out and make some weird, crazy karate kick moves. Like, Inter could kind of sneak in there. I think I'm hopeful because I would love to see City lose, but
Chad, here's my thought process here. It's going through City's lineup and great players all around.
yeah,
But on the biggest of stages, what have they truly done? On the bit when the spotlight is the brightest. Now the spotlight it hovers over the Premier League for a very long season. But in those one game where you need to do something, who on that team has really stood out? And I'm sorry, I don't know if anyone has. I really don't. And like I could flip that onto Inter, and maybe Inter doesn't have as many of those players, but they've had players like Brozovic being in a World Cup final. They've had Martinez score a PK in the World Cup final. Like they have some of those players who have been when the pressure is so freaking hard and on you, kind of step up to the occasion and make something happen.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, like, not to keep picking on Holland, and I know him playing for Norway versus him playing for City is different, but like him and Odegaard couldn't get Norway into the World Cup, and like I get that's 2 out of 11 players, but like that's 2 very good players where it should just be give Odegaard the ball, he gives it to Holland, we score, So, and you make a good point, like De Bruyne, especially coming off of this World Cup, that him and Belgium as a whole didn't really do anything. Ederson kind of cruised with Brazil for the most part, and then when it got down to it, couldn't really make the big saves he needed to.
I'm gonna step in right. That dude has cruised his whole career. So overrated. I will die on that hill. But continue.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any like standout performance, outside of Premier League from players there. Like, you don't really see Bernardo Silva too much in the Portugal team, or if he is, you don't hear too much of him.
It's pretty quiet.
Grealish has certainly looked better in the City squad, but in England was still kind of that, not invisible, but not super threatening. I don't know. I mean, it's
interesting. Who do you trust on that team in a big game? It's got to be Gundogan. If I'm Pep, it's got to be
I
him.
think so, yeah. Especially the way he's been playing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to rely on him a little bit. Because, even backline. I mean, yeah, you got, John Stones has been playing well in his new kind of like hybrid midfield role. Ruben Diaz, okay, Portugal, but like they haven't done too much. I don't know. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, yeah, there's not too many players on Inter either.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just having one or two makes a big difference.
And we're forgetting that City does not have a Croatian player. You need a Croatian to win Champions League. So
yes,
might as well just hand Inter the trophy now.
that's the craziest stat that I've seen. And there's rumors that City are trying to get Mateo Kovacic to fix that Croatian player problem.
I saw that.
So I'm hoping the signing isn't official until after the Champions League final, because say they sign him tomorrow, just because he's not in the squad doesn't mean he's not a player for Man City. So keep that in the back of your head. Hopefully it happens afterwards. But then next year, I think City might be the favorites because they got him. And maybe not a joke, but also that team will be damn scary with him too passing the ball.
Yeah.
Like just a filthy midfield, but that's what they get when they have all that money.
Yeah. I mean, I think either way it goes, it should be a pretty competitive game. I don't think Inter will just fall apart. I think they'll be up for it certainly, and probably feel that less pressure compared to City. Maybe be a little bit more relaxed. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if this City team can't do it, like, will it ever happen? I don't know.
That too. If City lose this game, which is arguably a much easier opponent from when they played. Oh God, who they play in the final 2 years ago? I'm totally blanking. Help me, Chad. Help me.
2 years ago.
Was it Bayern?
Maybe.
Oh man,
I forget now.
When were they last in it? Was it last year? No, last year was Liverpool. It was 2021 Champions League. I'm pretty sure it was 2021. But I thought it was PSG and Bayern. Oh, it was Chelsea and City.
Was it really? Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I remember I was driving when that game was happening. Oh, I think I was driving. Yeah. So, not too surprising that they lost that game. I don't know. I could just see a replica happening, and I wouldn't be surprised.
What's it going to take if, having Kevin De Bruyne is still performing really well in the season, Haaland's being Haaland, Gundogan is coming into this late season run of form, like, City didn't lose the last 15 games of the season. Like, this team should get over that Champions League hurdle, but I don't know.
So
it's that one and done. That might be the scary thing for them.
Pep is obviously not going to get fired, but if he loses this, do you think in the back of his head he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it with these cats? And he goes to coach Barcelona one last time to get Messi.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if they lose, I could see him not wanting to do like a full rebuilds, but like clearing house a little bit. Like, you know, Holland's obviously going to be there, so you're kind of building around him. But I mean, yeah, like you can't get too much better of a squad, really. Like, unless you're pulling Saudi money now to, you know, drag people in. But I don't know. I think he probably has a good think on the squad, and if these players are good enough to be there, you know, it's again they're winning the leagues, FA Cup, they're a successful team, but that's not the trophy they want.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe you got to bring in like just bring in more of that like true experience of, like, you know, either World Cup quarter, semifinal, final stage kind of players,
right,
or, you know, people that have been in the Champions League finals before. Just try and get some of that maybe more leadership in those big games, right? I don't know.
Well, it's a way different strategy. You have to have it. That's why Madrid is so good at winning Champions League all the time, because their mindset to do it, you know, a simple group stage to 2-game series. There's a strategy behind it on when you go hard, when you try to score, you know, when you let off the gas and do things a little bit more creatively, rather than your league play where you're just kind of, you know, every week you're prepping for the next team instead of like actually thinking, when do we want to score in this 2-game series? Do we want to score a lot in the first game? Or do we want to score a lot in the second game? Do we want to defend heavy then or then? Like, there's so much more to it, and I love it. I love the strategy of that part of it. But City just doesn't have that. They don't. They always they fumble at the last second, and I don't know, man. I got a little bubbly in my tummy.
I mean, yeah, it's you know, it's not a Pep issue. He's been there with Barcelona, been there with Bayern. Like, they get over the line fine. But this City team, when it's come up to these high pressure situations that, you know, you could say this season in the league they are kind of there because they're playing catch up, but yeah, you have, you know, a whole season to get there. So it's like there's pressure to perform and get the points, but like you have time. Whereas this, it's, you know, 90 minutes, maybe 120 minutes to get it done. And if you're not firing on all cylinders, and which they haven't been in these situations, like, I don't know. It'll be a fun watch for sure.
Here's my thought process behind that. Obviously, this is City's biggest, you know, thing on their back, and it'll always be on them until they win it. You know, Madrid never feels that pressure just because they're there all the time. To them, it's just another game. Liverpool against Tottenham, no problem in the Champions League final. Yeah. But what's their crutch? Real Madrid, so we see a completely different squad out of them because they're nervous. It's a nervous energy. There's pressure to beat them because they haven't before, you know, twice before. And then the Champions League trophy will always loom over City until they win it. Yeah. And I think they just don't have that mental toughness to get past it. I think Inter, I freaking want to believe so hard that Inter can get it done. Just because they cruise.
This is gonna be Lukaku's like final send off in his Inter career, just kick in the winning goal, and then he has to go back to Chelsea.
Inter. Okay, he's all. I forgot the first time Chelsea sold him to Inter, and we sold him back for like 5 times what they sold it to us. And we can't do that again because he's on loan. But if he wasn't on loan, it would probably happen again. I don't know. I think he matches up pretty well. I think that team just matches up well. I think we're tough. I think Inter's super, super tough. And I think City, I don't know, man. They've never played anyone who will put an elbow in you and play like the Italian way in a long time.
It's true. Yeah, as physical as some of the Premier League games can get, it's not not so like not dirty, but
It's gritty.
yeah, you got to get down in the mud a little bit sometimes, and I don't know if the city guys can do it so much or want to.
I think the best way to say it is city players rarely look dirty. Like
True.
Their kits are clean pressed even after the game. And that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I don't know. That's how I feel sometimes because it looks like they barely had to work. So yeah, I can't wait. 2:00 my time, noon your time. I think it's at noon.
Yeah. Any big plans for it? Watch party sort of deal?
Yeah, we're gonna go to our local little ITAP. It's kind of like the Grad of Columbia. We've made our little home there, so cool little pub. And I wish I could bring my mug because maybe the mail would be like, it's okay, you can have it.
Maybe
I'll just bring it. I'll just wear my kit. Like, what are they gonna do? Say, oh, you can't have that? Maybe, but
worth a shot.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know.
I'll put water in it. All right. Yeah. And then our website is updated to Women's World Cup. Roster should be out soon-ish.
Starts July?
Right? July 20th is the official start date.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So it should be coming up soon.
Yeah, I hope so. And then June 15th is the release of next year's Premier League schedule. So that'll be kind of fun to get that and kind of circle out which games are going to be fun to look at, fun to watch, and maybe go. Oh no, maybe go. We'll see what happens.
Maybe.
So yeah, you got anything else? I think I covered everything I want to talk about.
I mean, I was just gonna ask you these Harry Kane questions, like
Harry Kane.
Man U's. I don't know if they've officially put in any bid, but they're definitely looking at him now with Benzema leaving. It's a big gap at Madrid. I know we've kind of already talked about what Tottenham should probably do here.
Sell.
Do you think, I think it was, I want to say it was it was Modric, I think. I think Chelsea put in an offer for Modric, when he was leaving Tottenham all those years ago. Tottenham said no deal because, you're a rival. Sold him to Madrid for less than Chelsea offered.
Stupid.
To me, especially where this Tottenham team is at now, you probably just take as much money as you can get, whether that's at United or Madrid.
Okay, if they're being realistic, they're not winning the title.
Yeah.
With City in this form. And that's just City. We'll just take City for example.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But they will not be on the same level as Liverpool after their McAllister signing. Arsenal's showing where they're at. Who cares if you sell them to a rival? Because you're not going to be competing. You're not in that spot. Take the 100 mil or whatever they're offering because those numbers will be there. If they sell them to Madrid for a stupidly low amount, oh my God, I'd be so frustrated. I'm frustrated as a non-Tottenham fan. I can't even imagine how they'd feel.
I mean, I think I remember his price being quoted at they want 150 from Man U. So let's say 150 is the price for Man U, and let's say Madrid just comes in at 100. So you're leaving 50 mil on the table just because you don't want him to go to a rival, which again, is a rival in the top 4 race, but you're kind of entering this rebuild period anyway. You may have a year or two where you're not in the top 4 this year. It's from the sporting side. I get you don't want to see this club legend go to a rival. You don't want to play against him, twice a year at least in the league. But I think from the business side of it, you take all the money, you got to invest smartly still, but at least you have the money to play with now instead of trying to scrounge around and sell off small bits and pieces here and there. But I don't know.
I got two splits in my brain going right now. One is a Liverpool fan saying, I hope they sell him to Madrid. I don't
Well,
like,
yeah, yeah.
he's a quality player. Don't want him in the league. I don't want to have to go
Sure.
against him. And then the realistic head saying they'd be so stupid to not sell him for that amount. 150 million can buy you a whole ask Forrest. Even though Forrest didn't do anything crazy, they spent a little over, maybe a little under 200, somewhere around there, and they essentially got a whole new squad of 20 or so players. Well, they don't need 20 or so players. They need 4, 5, 6, somewhere up in there, but quality 4, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
And 150 million can get you that.
Yeah, and I mean, especially like, regardless of their past performances and stuff, you're still a notable team in Premier League. You're in London, where like is a nice place for people to live. These people that got the money, live in London. You're able to offer decent wages too. So it's like 150 million could go pretty far if you spend it wisely. And I think, well, they would definitely try to. I don't know if they will, but I don't know. And there's the third thing of them just hanging on to Kane for his final year, hoping that he can get them back in the Champions League. Just so he'll leave on a free, and then I get the Champions League money is significant, but is it worth losing Kane for free now? Right, like. Because you still got to do the rebuild either way.
And that's not even a guarantee it's not even a guarantee of Champions League.
No, I mean, he scored 30 goals this season, and look what happened. They didn't make it. Like, so I'm really interested to see how this pans out. I don't know. Like, I think Kane, I don't think he'll want to stay regardless of what manager they bring in and what he's told and any other assurances they want to give him. I think this last contract that he signed was like his last, like, all right, let's show I'm committed, show I'm here for pretty much my whole career. Like, you had good bones in the squad at that point, and it just didn't pan out, and that's okay. That happens, right? Like, sometimes things just don't work out and you move on. And if he goes to United, it's not to say he'll win a trophy or anything, but he's in the Premier League still. He's on a team that should perform better than Tottenham will. If you go to Madrid, you do have a chance at a trophy, multiple trophies, I guess. So I don't know. We'll see what he decides, but I don't, as much as I like the Arsenal fan in me wants to see them just keep Kane and just like he leaves and that's it, and it just kind of fizzles out. But like the neutral side of me is like, yeah, like
what's
sell him, get the money, let's go. Yeah.
What do you think's best for him?
I think you probably want to stay in England, right? Like, you're very well settled here. You have a family. I don't think trophies are of the utmost importance to him, because then I think he would have left quite a while ago. There's like the scoring record or whatever that's like the target that people think he's going for, which is fine. Like, to be in the record books, like, you're going to be there for a long time. But I think at some point you would want a better chance at winning a trophy. I think he would probably prefer Madrid. He probably should have moved a few years ago to City, but that ship has sailed. But I don't know. I don't think he'll fight to stay at Tottenham, but I don't know if he'll fight to leave either. So
I think anyone above the age of 30 who's playing for Tottenham is probably looking at alternative routes. You finished 8th.
Yeah.
You know Europe. You're still a really good player. Most of the over 30.
Yeah.
Mora's gone. Son is still there. Kane is still there. Højbjerg is 28, but he's in essentially his prime, and like, teams would pay very good money for him. Yeah, and then you got young guys too. It's like Pedro Porro came in there to hopefully play Champions League, and he had a great second half of the season.
Yeah,
and now he's like, wait, he's like, why did I come to this squad? Maybe he's not saying those words, but it kind of seems like it. So I don't know. I just can't wait for next season already.
Yeah, yeah. I think once once Champions League final happens, I think we'll start to see a lot more articles and little tidbits come out of like who's going where and what the teams are going to kind of shape up to look like for the next season. I mean, it was 74 days away at the end of the season, and so now what? It's 60.
It's not. I mean, less than 2 months. Less than 2 months. Yeah, so. I love the quick turnaround though. It always keeps it interesting and hopefully lots of news. Chad, I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, I mean, we vibed out for what, like an hour?
An hour, yeah.
We somehow did that, so.
It happens. It weirdly happens. Okay, I just want to end on this quote from our boy Big Z, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. One of the last words he said is retirement commencement after the AC Milan game. I don't know if you saw any quotes that came out, but this is a personal favorite. We'll end on this. I quote, "Keep booing. This is the biggest moment in your year seeing me." And with that, the Hooligans are out. Peace.